to my channel. First and foremost, my biggest goal right now is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of January, and I really believe it can happen, but I do need your help. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a lot. Okay, we are going back to the book that I've been reading. It's called Forgiving What You Can't Forget. And I'm already to chapter 2. Yay! Alright, welcome to the table. That's chapter 2. I wrote this message sitting at a gray wooden table. Many days it was just me, my computer, my tears, my Bible, and my own struggles with forgiveness. Other days I invited in friends I work with who each brought in their own life experiences through which to process this message. That's the thing about writing a book that's complicated and wonderful and hard some days. Life doesn't stop for a message. New things happen in the writing process that force me to ask the question, does this message really work in the midst of everyday life and this new hard things that is happening? Where am I? Okay, there we go. Life just keeps placing opportunities to forgive in front of us all. I know that's right. So we kept pulling up our chairs to the gray table and opening up our hearts to the teachings in the Bible and in this book. Some of us look back at unforgiven things in our past that were affecting us today more than we ever dared to admit before. Others didn't really have epic hard things, but anything painful that we keep revisiting in our thoughts over and over again is worth addressing. Sometimes things just collect. A hurtful situation here, a painful conversation there, and then others of us had more defined hurts happening in real time. One of us had an ex-boyfriend who got engaged. She thought she dealt with the death of the dreams she had when that relationship ended very suddenly. She'd moved on. But the engagement stirred up hurt feelings not yet forgiven. One of us had a lifelong friendship that started to unravel because of choices his friend was making that made no sense at all. Boundaries needed to be drawn. Hard conversations turned into silence that turned into the deafening reality of a friendship ending. And I think we've all been there in one way or another. We've lost friendships, we've lost relationships, we just have a lot of, pent up, hurt that isn't being addressed. So, it's not good. Another of us had no idea that this message was preparation for the most horrific situation his family would face. Just before I finalized the manuscript, he got a call that his college-age cousin had been murdered. The next time we pulled up chairs around the gray table, he had just gotten home from her memorial service. Service, not surface. Oh my goodness, I'm so tired. It's been a long week. Where they played a slideshow of her smiling and laughing and just being her delightfully beautiful self. How in the world could something like this happen? My family and I are just in shock. So we each wrestled through our own questions about forgiveness in the midst of the gritty, tearful, desperate experiences we brought to the table. And though you didn't know it, we always had an extra chair for you. And let me just stop right there. Being in recovery and, having, been in recovery as long as I've been, along the way, I've obviously met people who are also in recovery, and they tell me their life stories, and they tell me all these things, which I'm obviously not going to share on here because it's not my place, but just let me say that there are people out there that have been through unimaginable, just heartrending things, just unimaginable, very just heartbreaking, very horrific, just terrible. And, oh man. And that's another thing that makes me think about my own life, and it's like, dang, they went through all that, and here I am tripping about something silly that happened like 20 years ago. It really does put things in perspective, too. It's just something else. And that's another thing that, in a way, it does help me feel a little bit better in terms of forgiveness, because it's like, dang, I'm not like trying to minimize what happened to me, but there are things that have happened to people that are so much worse. You know what I mean? So it really does put things in perspective. And it's sad, but it's just one of those things. You gotta be like, well, hey, this happened to them, and then here I am complaining because somebody, gave me a dirty look or flipped me off when getting on the freeway. Just silly, ridiculous stuff when people have been through so much more and so much worse. So, let's see. I lost my place. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. It's right here. So we each wrestled through our own questions about forgiveness in the midst of the gritty, tearful, desperate experiences we brought to the table. Okay, I already read that part. Okay, here we go. Here, your questions are safe. Your heartbreak is tenderly held. Your thoughts don't need to be edited. Your soul's need for truth will be tended to, and your resistance is understood. Welcome to the gray table, friend. I know what it feels like to have been hurt so deeply that forgiveness feels like a command too cruel for you to consider, or it's a spiritual theory you might think about one day after a lot more time has passed, or it's a topic you've been avoiding and don't care to discuss. I get all of that. I really do. I think if I were invited to this table, I'd have some version of all of that combined. There have been seasons in my life when I personally had many differing reactions to the mention of the word forgiveness. Guardedness, defeat, anger, hurt, fearfulness, frustration, confusion. That's why I want to assure you of something vitally important. I know what it's like to look around a room, eyes glassy with pain, and feel so very alone. Friend, you aren't alone here, and you won't be judged as you wrestle through this message. I don't want someone who can't possibly understand how deeply my heart has been broken to boss me around as if forgiveness should be easier, nor do I want someone to shame me for being so hesitant, or worse yet, try to burden my brain with a teaching I'm just not ready to hear. I haven't waltzed my way through the writing of this message. I've wrestled with it. I felt defeated by it. In all the research I've done on forgiveness, I've found many legitimate feelings feeding the resistance that holds many of us back. See which of these resonates with you. Okay, and then there's a long list. I think at the end of this list, though, I'm going to end this video, but let's get started. I fear the offense will be repeated. Hanging on to a grudge gives me a sense of control in a situation that's felt so unfair. The pain I experienced altered my life, and yet no one has ever validated that what I went through was wrong. Forgiveness feels like it trivializes, minimizes, or worse yet, makes what happened no big deal. I can't possibly forgive when I still feel so hostile toward the one who hurt me. I'm not ready to forgive. I still feel hurt. They haven't apologized or even acknowledged that what they did was wrong. Being back in relationship with this person isn't possible or safe. Furthermore, it's not even reasonable for me to have a conversation with the person who hurt me. And see, that's the crazy thing. Like I said, I'm going to interject a little bit of my life story into this, while I'm reading this book. But that last one I just read, it just makes me think about years ago, back to my mom, and how she knew that I was married to a very abusive dude. That's why I left him. And then she literally told me that I need to go back to him, even though she claims that, our dad, God rest both of their souls, claimed that he was a very abusive, physically abusive, verbally abusive husband. That's what my mom had claimed, and yet she's telling me to go back to a man who she already knows was abusive to me. So yeah, that's just wild, like for real. I'm still in the middle of a long, hard situation with no resolution yet. I'm afraid forgiveness will give them false hope that I want to reestablish the relationship, but I don't. It's easier to ignore this person altogether than to try and figure out boundaries so they don't keep hurting me. What they did is unchangeable, therefore forgiveness won't help anything. Yeah. The person who hurt me is no longer here. I can't forgive someone I can't talk to. I don't think any good will come from forgiveness now. And see, that's a list of, feelings that people have who can't forgive. I mean, a couple of them resonate with me. Like, the hanging on to a grudge gives me sense of control in a situation that's felt unfair. That resonates with me also. The pain I experienced altered my life. It did. I have trust issues big time when it comes to relationships. That's why I'm not in one. I'm not ready to forgive. Well, actually, I am. That's why I'm reading this book. I just need a little push and help and prayer. It says what they did is unchangeable, therefore forgiveness won't help anything. That kind of resonates with me. And the person who hurt me is no longer here. That definitely does. Like I said, I am still trying to forgive my mom for, the kind of mom that she was. And she's gone. She's been gone since 2019. And my dad just died a couple of years ago. And there's a lot of unresolved issues there too. So... all right, well, that is it for this evening. Thank you for tuning in, those of you who are still with me, all 5 of you. Have a wonderful night. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. It's free, and it helps me out a lot. I still plan for 1,000 subscribers by the end of January. Have a wonderful night. God bless you all. Talk to you another time. Bye-bye. Oh my goodness.